Hello, mindful friends. Today we're talking about finding a balance between listening to wisdom and intuition, and then moving that into action and development. So when I was learning how to meditate, they taught me one of the hand configurations that you can place your hands in while meditating, and that was to put the left hand under the right hand, let it kind of cradle the right hand, and then you come together in a little circle, touching the thumbs. And the reason for this is that the left hand represents the side of us that is more wisdom, the listening, the intention. And the right hand, or the right side of our being, is more the action, the doing and the creating. And so how we live our lives is that all of our action is supported in and founded in the wisdom that we generate, that inner intention. And they work together. We need both. We know we have to be out in the world and we have to be doing things and creating things. But in order for that to be effective and to be in integrity, it has to be founded in and held in that kind of center of wisdom and listening. And that we want to strike a balance between the two. That we don't just sit around and contemplate and develop wisdom and listen, but we also don't just run through life doing without ever coming back home and kind of touching base with that wisdom and that intention. And when we do that, so when our action is based and founded in the wisdom and the intention, it is much more impactful, much stronger, and it actually serves its purpose to move us forward on our journey versus kind of frivolous, wasted energy that we just put out into the world and we don't get a lot of return value on those kind of just busy body movements. And when we're out of balance, that we can either get stuck just in contemplation, to just trying to get in touch with the wisdom, we're kind of stuck in the planning, we're stuck in coming up with intention, and we're not doing a whole lot, right? There's not a whole lot of impact from what we're generating. Or we can get stuck in the doing. So here, this happens, I would say probably more often in our society. We're stuck in the doing and we forget to come back home to the intention, just based on the nature of how our society works and how we run. Is that we got all these things to do and all these chores and we're very busy, and so we just go along with it. We put ourselves in autopilot and we're just moving through the day, doing things that we think we have to do, but we're expelling a lot of energy, and it can be very fatiguing and draining, and it can feel monotonous, like you're just going through the motions, and here I have to do the next chore. It's like every moment of your day is full and you're just going from one to the next, and you forget, what am I generating from this? What am I creating? And what am I adding back to the world around me? And what this does is that we just have a lot of wasted, expelled energy and not a lot of true growth. So it's like busy bees, right? If all the bees are just buzzing around and they're going, they're moving, but they're not coming back home and returning to the hive and dropping the honey and producing that sweetness of life. They're just buzzing around. And I think that happens easily in our society, the buzz. The bees that move around are trying to collect things or trying to do things, but they never come back to the hive and remember, what's my honey? What's the sweetness? So finding that balance means that you come back home and you have some kind of contemplative practice that helps you listen to wisdom. And when we listen to wisdom, that kind of returns to what we've talked about before, the big why. What's your big why? What are you trying to generate here? Who are you wanting to be out in the world? And what is it that you want to share with the world so that you're generating? And when you come back home and you start listening to that, it's like this quiet space where you can hear, that kind of intelligence or knowing or wisdom that's beyond just you. It's beyond the little mundane chores that your life presents or you have to do or taking care of yourself. And you start listening to that bigger kind of picture, the asks of the big picture, the asks of the universe. And then when you come back and it kind of like points to what's really gonna serve that. And it might be that you still have to go out and do the same mundane chores. You gotta get them done. You have to grocery shop. You have to drop the kids at school. But what it might change is kind of the urgency or pressure you put on yourself for it, or the little extra things you think you have to add on to be busy at every moment, or it might change how you engage in them. So if you don't just have busy bee mentality, but you're having I'm creating sweetness mentality, you might go to the grocery store and instead of just be honing in on your list and your to-dos, you might notice the people around you a little bit more. You might smile at the person next to you, or you might notice the lady who's having a really hard time reaching the top shelf and you may reach out and help her. Or even dropping your kid off at school. Instead of just focusing on this is the task, I'm getting it done, you may use that time to develop sweetness, to come back to the wisdom, so that in that action that you're doing, you're still generating honey. And you may use that time then to connect with your child, to ask questions, to just feel their energy, be more present in that moment and just sense, how are they really doing? So you see the difference there is when you're in busy bee mentality and you haven't come back and you're not with the listening and the intuition, you're just moving through the actions and you think you're drilling away and you're getting somewhere and you think it's building up, but you're exhausting your resources and no honey is being generated. No sweetness is being generated there. Just some anxiety, some worry, some fatigue because you're just going from one thing to the next and you're just focused on the task. Whereas if we find the balance there and come back to, all right, I can listen here and I can use the foundation of my wisdom in this action, then that sweet honey that you were wanting to generate in all of your life and everything that you do, it can appear here too. And you can use this moment to generate your overall kind of growth, what you're wanting to share with the world. So in the balance, there's no way to get around the fact that we have to keep moving through our days. We have to keep the lights on. We have to keep working. But we can bring intention there too. You can bring listening there too. And each one of those actions in your day, if it's linked to that inner wisdom, to the center, it generates honey. And your whole life starts to kind of work towards the growth of these flowers you're trying to grow. And it's not wasted energy, and it's no more just mundane or monotonous or irritating that you have to do it, but it's energizing and life-giving. And we let go of the things, it helps us, that wisdom helps us to see what are the things that really aren't serving and just are the busy bee mentality. We let go of those so that we can give more attention and love to the things that really do produce honey. So this week I invite you, look at where you're just being a busy bee and all you're looking at is the task. Look at what that does to your energy levels and to who you're being in the world. And then give yourself some time to take a step back and ground all of those actions into your wisdom in your heart. And then see how that changes what you're engaging in and how you're engaging in it. If you enjoy these talks and would like to join us for a group mindfulness session or individual coaching, you can visit us at newleafmindfulness.com, and don't forget to like and share and subscribe. I hope to see you all very soon.